Thank you, colleagues. And I know, Ms. Hernandez, this is an issue that is very important to you. One of the concerns that I had is that we keep continuing to circle the drain on the same conversation with respect to vending, and with one of the challenges that we're facing right now, and one of the frustrations I see that all of us are experiencing, is a dynamic where now, because we haven't had very clear instructions on how to move forward and strike an important balance on managing our permitting and enforcement, because there is no consequence for not having permits, we've created an environment that, frankly, I look at what happens with the overcorrection and erecting fences to obstruct vending. And I don't think that's the actual goal. I think what we're trying to do is create an environment that strikes an important balance to ensure that we can have an environment that is hospitable to vending at a time when, sadly, the very same individuals that continue to engage in this are among those that are facing the greatest attacks from the federal administration. And so I really want to encourage this body as we go forward to have a real conversation about how we approach vending in a manner that actually balances a responsible approach that ensures that we have a permitting process that is also feasible for people to do, but we have to actually balance it with a responsible enforcement tactic. You can't have one without the other, because all you're doing is availing the very environment that spins out of control and leaves people vulnerable to then be conflated with those that exploit the protections that are being afforded to these vendors, the way we're seeing as an overcorrection in the enforcement tactics in MacArthur Park. And I think it's really problematic, and I see this happening across our city, sadly. We've been working closely in my district with ICON, and we actually have a number of successful cases. In fact, many folks are operating legitimate carts in my district, and they have worked with EWDD and with ICON to get the resources necessary in order to actually do the acquisition of legitimate carts, permitted carts. And so we need to do that on a wider scale, but we also need to ensure that street services has the resources and the authority to do the part that they're required to do, so that what we don't leave are individuals being vulnerable to extreme punitive actions as a result. And so I just want to, I can appreciate the county's part in this conversation, but the reality is that if we're going to protect more people, we need to have very hard and honest conversations about how we strike a balance with the combination of enforcement, permitting, and consequences for not participating in an honorable fashion in these vending processes. So, colleagues, I appreciate where we're going with this, but we keep having the same conversation, and it's not getting better. And I don't want to see us erecting fences across the city to try and correct it. Thank you.
Councilmember Soto Martinez.
Thank you so much, Council President. I want to speak on this item a little bit because, folks know that it's a deeply personal issue for me. I actually agree with both of the comments that are made here, so the intent of this and the comments by Councilmember Rodriguez. This issue has been discussed in this body since the 1980s. In fact, it was Michael Wu, from District 13, that was the first person that actually advocated for street vendors, and we've seen ebbs and flows of that process. Councilmember Price has been a champion on this issue very most recently. But we find ourselves in a situation where I agree that there's a lot of back and forth going on, but the reality is that I think a lot of the back and forth has gone on because we haven't centered the street vendors. That's not who we're taking into account when we're making these decisions. And as a result of that, the state has passed their own state policy and essentially said that street vending, we can't enforce no street vending zones in the city of Los Angeles. So it reminds me a little bit of the housing debate that we have, right? We couldn't figure out our housing issues, so the state is figuring it out for us. Now, I'm very happy to hear that each of us are sort of trying to deal with it in our own districts, because street vending looks very different across the city of Los Angeles. In South Central, we have a lot of black vendors selling merchandise and incense and all kinds of other stuff. Lotions and creams, and in the Valley and in Westlake. So I thank you for leading on your district. I know in CD13 we're putting some of our own resources to do a pilot program along with Councilmember Rahman, because I agree, it has to balance everything out. As someone who is a child of street vendors, I appreciate the entrepreneur spirit of our street vendors. They're not there asking for handouts. They're working to feed their families. But I also have seen the more the ugly side of street vending, and I've experienced it on a first-hand basis. So I do agree we need a balance, but I think it's not one or the other. I think we need to try everything at the same time. And so, and this is discussed in my committee, and so I welcome these discussions. We're all trying to figure out, but I do support this item today. But I do agree there's a lot more discussions to be had. Thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. When we've talked about this topic over and over again, and I agree with you, Councilman Rodriguez. Some businesses are having to take drastic measures because they are finding that their businesses are not being impacted. Parking lots that they pay for, parking lots that they maintain are now being overtaken by people who are using street vendings, not using their business, and they're frustrated now. So they're taking drastic measures as far as making sure that they post certain signs, and then more towing is happening. Look, I appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit of these businesses, but we have to make sure that in the city of Los Angeles, that everyone plays by the same rules. There cannot be different rules for this business as opposed to this business. If we require this business to do, pay taxes, workers' comp, and provide health, regulations. We have restaurants in my district. If they get visited by by the health department, if their temperature is off 1 degree, they get knocked down. Why is it that we do not care about the health and welfare of the people who are visiting these places? We have lowered our permit fees now to somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 to make it accessible to these street vendors so that they can go on and get their health permit, and so that we provide a safe experience for people who want to frequent these places. So I hope when we're moving forward in this council, and we do talk about other legislation talking regarding street vending, is that we make sure that we are always looking at them through the same lens, through all the different businesses that we require, that the safety precautions that we take for restaurants, the same safety precautions we should take when we talk about street vending. Thank you.
Councilmember Padilla.
I think it's important for me to also add on to this, because like many of you, I do wish I had a little bit more control and ability to work with the vendors and talk to them about what is a more productive place for them to do business. There's definitely places in my district where it's productive. The street vendors work together, they clean up their area, they put money into a pot, very strict with each other about who can be there and who cannot. And then there's always those that just show up and nobody else knows who they are, what they're doing. But I will say that ever since we lowered the fee, we have seen an increase in vendors wanting to join the formal market and understand the rules that the city has created for itself. And I'm hoping that the nonprofits that are doing the productive work of engaging with them continue to help us increase those numbers. They're not as high as I wish they would be, but we have to acknowledge that there's been an increase at the city level. However, when I am talking to my constituents about this, I'm honest with them about how we have no jurisdiction to push them to do anything when it comes to the county health. It's a little loud, sorry. So we have nothing that we can do as it pertains to health permits, right? But at the same time, I'm very honest with them about how we have to talk to the state. The state really has our hands locked. And if we want to be able to do more as a city, the conversation that our constituents need to also be talking to are our state leaders. Because right now, they have the upper hand. So if we want to someday create something like an opportunity zone, I believe we still have to explore more about whether that's feasible. But in the interim, what we all need to do is push our vendors, the true entrepreneurs, to pay for this lower fee that will incentivize them at minimum learning what the city wants, and then with the time, with the fund savings, then they go over to the county. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Councilmember Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate this discussion. Members, I'm certainly prepared to support it. There's no doubt that we have given this really short shrift, I think, to our street vending community. We've done a lot to provide resources, but we need to provide a lot more. The pendulum has swung. Very little enforcement, very little support. We don't want to swing it back and have it be overly oppressive, but we have to try to find some medium. Other communities do it. Other cities do it. Why can't we? So I'm happy that we're continuing the discussion. When we're not talking, nothing happens, so at least we are bringing this discussion back to the forefront, figuring out the proper role for vendors to play, and making sure that we're doing all we can to support them as they provide a unique resource to our community. Thanks.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Council President. And I am just really excited to hear everybody giving so many comments on this topic. So I hope that when we come back with some solutions, we can all give some comments and work together to make that happen. This report back, I just want to uplift it, is we're having to do a lot of the cleanup because it has become legalized, but there was a lot of gaps in this vending process. One of them being, yes, we lowered the fees on our end, but the county permit is almost impossible to get if you're just a regular street food vendor. The county regulates that. It's in the hundreds of dollars, these permit fees. And so this directive is asking our department with our team to bring the county forward to see if the county is willing to make any changes to make their permitting process more accessible to our street vendors. So that's what this report back is asking for. I also want to say, in my district, we have the Salvadoran corridor, we have open night markets, we have the Guatemalan street vendors, we have the MacArthur Park vendors. Street vending is a huge economy in my district, so we've invested $20,000 in helping pay for the permits for our vendors in the area. We're hosting permitting workshops in partnership with our city departments and county to get people their permits, whether it's at the city level and start the process to get them at the county level. We've been working on a commissary in Cypress Park in my district where we are working with the vendors to be able to own that commissary so that they can have more of these county food vending permits, because they need a commissary in order to get that permit. We're doing a lot. We've also reinvigorated with the Bureau of Street Services, the Vendor Stakeholder Advisory Committee. Y'all are welcome to join that space, but it's what I think Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez was talking around giving vendors the space to speak for themselves and what they want to see regulated. So that's happening. So there's a lot moving. If y'all want to plug in, please let me know. But this report back and this action is to get the city moving and our department moving to get these permitting process at the county changed and make more accessible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember, and thank you, council members, for this discussion. This item is now before us. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
All right, what's next?
Good morning. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items. Go ahead. Mr. Herman, this is your opportunity to provide public comment. If you do not have a public comment, then we can move on to the next speaker.
I'm fucking waving the liens. I'm fucking waving the liens. It's symbolic. I'm showing you people what symbolic constitutional protection these people need on this fucking corrupted enforcement. And you fat fuck, just pay attention to yourself. Leave me the fuck alone. It's Sambo who's supposed to tell me if I'm on topic. Item number 1, hearing protests.
You're not on topic.
Or objections of the Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety. Report of confirmation for whatever existing code violations and annual inspections. They're unconstitutional. You're extorting and exploiting people who have no idea what the fuck you're doing with this code enforcement. Now to the next item, so I stay on topic, dick face. Look at here, a probe warning. Probe warning, probe warning. What's the probe warning about? Agreement with the Councilman Literal Williams LLP to provide legal service representing city employees like Marqueece Dawson, officials in a federal criminal investigation of city employees for corruption, RICO,
So,
and
Mr. Herman,
embezzlement.
if you were listening, that is not one of the items that's open for public comment. You can speak to it during general, but let me repeat, the
And
items...
then on 35 regarding homeless shelter.
So again, 35 is not open for public comment.
Regarding item 36.
36 is not open for public comment.
Fucking sidewalks.
As we say at the beginning of the meeting or before public comment,
Well, repeat
I will
them. I
repeat
did
the
not
items.
hear you,
The
dickhead.
items that are open for public comment are items 1 through 13, item 15, items 17 through 22, and items 46 through 51.
Okay, here we go. Smoke and scan to the rescue. On item number 17, Department of Building and Safety, once again, 22 motherfucking items on violations against people who need their homes, need their money, and have to pay for their fucking mortgage or their fucking rent. And you're putting these unconstitutional enforcement because Marqueece Dawson is a black, dumb motherfucker. Asshole, son of a bitch. Stop fucking with the public, plumhead, and get your black ass to the
So
federal
I'm not sure which
courthouse.
item you're speaking
Now
to. You
my
need to connect it to an
non-agenda
item.
Public comment.
Okay, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Claim for relief, violations of the First and 14th Amendment. Under Article Section 2 of the California Constitution regarding enforcement of unconstitutional rules of decorum like you saw today. What you just saw me doing on the very first item, wave to smoke and scan, wave to smoke and scan, wave. But the fucking pumpkin head with the 3 dots on his left face is an asshole for the rules of decorum and their enforcement, which violate the First Amendment because they contain provisions which constitute impermissible prior restraints of speech, like that fucking pumpkin head. Stick your head up your ass and shut the fuck up, Dave.
You're off topic. Once
In
again.
closing, the terms are vague and lack adequate standards or guidelines for enforcement of city officials. 42 U.S.C. 1983. Fuck you!
So your time has expired. As we wait for the next speaker to come up, just to be clear to everybody, we do have to treat everyone equally. So, Mr. Herman, as I've told you before, if you abide by our rules, you will get the full amount of time.
So item number 1. 事到如今没有答案，我的真心为你牵绊，不管相见的夜多么难堪，简简单单的说。
City Attorney, is this on topic?
想要把你忘记真的好难，思念的痛在我心里纠缠，朝朝暮暮的期盼，永远没有答案。为何当初你选择一刀两断？听你说声爱我真的好难，曾经说过的话风吹云散。Item number 2， 站在天平的两端，一样的为难，唯一
Mr. Spindler, can you take your seat? You're very distracting in the aisle.
好难。Item number 3，夜晚的没有多长，思念情绪在发狂，风筝一辈子只会为一根线在天空飞翔，你却剪断去找所谓天堂。Item number 4， 我燃烧了翅膀，你却像风一样，那风铃在摇晃，倾听一种悲伤。 阳，我燃烧了翅膀，到不了你身旁，尘封依旧心上，回归到信仰。Item number 5. 你言不由衷，听你的情绪翻涌，我能明白你那些触动，闹得多凶。它在你心中永远是那么的重，所以你选择敞开心胸，给它包容。可惜你身后的我也在为你而伤痛，在伤痛之后也有感动。General public comment.
Okay, you have 1
I
minute.
am really concerned about the crime in the Los Angeles city. So right now, I am seeing on the street that any person can randomly take over the freeway, no consequence. Anyone can randomly block the traffic, no consequence. Anyone can doing the, what's that called, a donut in the intersection, no consequence. So right now, I understand what is the proper way to commit a crime in LA. When you are committing a crime by yourself, LAPD will arrest you. However, when you have thousands of gangbangers doing crime together on the street, no consequence. So I want to thank our council member Harry Stoughton to educate everybody how to commit a crime the correct way. So do not commit a crime by yourself. Get all of your family, hundreds of people commit a crime on the freeway. There's absolutely no consequence.
No voy a
Good morning.
hablar de otra cosa except public comment. I'm only going to speak about public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Harriet Elliott. Acaba de empezar el libro Transhuman Genocidio. ¿Quién está traduciendo? Who's translating?
I'm here, ma'am. You can continue. So please go ahead and start.
Okay. Escrito por Ron Johnson. Y necesito decirles, el libro gigantesco tiene errores. Okay, I'll translate. No, where's the translator?
I'm right
No,
here.
she's
Oh,
here.
go ahead.
Can we get...
I just started reading the book by Ron Johnson called Transhuman Genocide. And in this giant book, there are a lot of errors.
Excellent. Por no hablar ni... okay. Ron Johnson hizo errores por no hablar con Robert Duncan, okay?
Ron Johnson made the mistake by not speaking about Robert Duncan.
A Ron Johnson sí le interesa energía dirigida, como yo me interesa.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you repeat that? I'm not understanding you.
Ron Johnson sí le interesa energía dirigida.
Ron Johnson is interested in directed energy.
Pero echa la culpa a 5G Torres, 5G Torres.
But blames 5G Tortoise.
Dudo el veraz porque él considera el nivel de cáncer en general y también artificial intelligence.
Because he thinks about the level of cancer in general as well as artificial intelligence.
Speaker, your time has expired. Your time has expired. Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Just general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. I originally came to speak about item 43, which is already passed, so I wanted to say thank you to Councilmember Hutt for introducing this item, and thank you to Council Members Hernandez and Soto Martinez for seconding the motion. This is an important stepping stone to making LA City buses fare-free. Going fare-free is an important win for economic justice, decriminalizing poverty, and especially climate resistance for our community. I look forward to the results of the study and hopefully supporting the council to implement a permanent fare-free bus system in the coming budget year. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Council. My name is Sam Range. I'm a transit rider and a member of Democratic Socialists of America. As the previous speaker, I'm happy that item 43 is proceeding, a study on fare collection costs for the Dash buses. Thank you to Council Members Hutt, as well as Hernandez and Soto Martinez for their support on this motion. We are really asking a bigger question here, which is, should LA city buses collect fares at all? Should riders have to pay? We know that in LA, transit is funded by sales taxes, not by fare revenue. Fare revenue is 5% or less of operating budgets for our transit systems. Fare is not financially required. As well, it's a matter of economic justice for riders who are 70% plus low income to end these fares. In the midst of a climate crisis, this is an immediate action that we can take to decrease congestion on our streets, to move people to sustainable transportation. It's also a matter of safety for our essential workers. It has been proven that going fare-free cuts rider assaults, operator assaults by 40%. I ask Council to move forward on full fare-free for Dash buses. Thank you.
Good morning. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general
Thank
public
you.
comment. Please
Thank
begin
you,
with the
you
items.
little
Go ahead.
bitch. Yes. So let's see, number 46 is by Nithya Raymond Noodle. Let's give her a shout out. Noodle, 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 noodle. Yes.
This is not on topic.
Stupid fuck. The author of the motion is Nithya Raman Noodle Noodle. That's on topic. Don't interrupt me again there, Django. Now we have 1,000,003 for the fucking Jews over there in Nithya's district to get pretty little fucking Ventura Coenga money from the beautification. How come Imelda can't do the same thing for the poor Mexican people on the same Van Nuys Boulevard? How come Nithya gets money, but then the fucking brown-skinned people don't get nothing but dog shit in their fucking feet? I don't
Mr. Herman,
understand
please
it.
take your seat.
Oh, hold on a minute. No, that's okay. He can stand. He has a disability. Then number 47, the Granada Hill Centennial Celebration, to quote Armando Herman,
Fuck Granada Hills!
and fuck the valley as well in the asshole, and fuck this motion by Lee. Shame on Jurado for supporting this waste of money. You could be giving it to fentanyl drug users, Jurado. What's your fucking problem? Then we have Bob Blurbenblood for the North Tarzana Neighborhood Council. Did you know that Tarzana was certified by me as a shithole? You weren't aware of that, were you? It is a certified shithole, Bob. Don't spend any more money there. Fuck North Tarzana. Fuck the Valley, and fuck CD3. You only have 2 more years and you're going to collect your full pension. Then we have CD5, KKK Katie Yaroslavsky. Yes, Katie is the worst thing to happen to Jews since fucking Burkhoff.
So I'm going to ask that you stick to the agenda, please.
What asshole? She's the author of the fucking motion.
Correct, but you need to connect your insults to the item.
I believe she's a Nazi sympathizer, in my opinion. So now we have the design quarter for some kind of shit that we don't understand. Now we'll get to the liens. Fuck the liens! And fuck the council members who sponsor the liens. And fuck their mothers for not having abortions. This is the terrible thing you guys do with these fucking liens. Look at the money that you're wasting. Now, you know that Bob wants to cancel the liens. That's why he was late today. Support that and cancel the liens. Yes.
General public comment.
Now, we have an announcement for current price.
Okay, here we go. On February 14th, 2025, at the Clara Shortridge Criminal Justice Center, the people of the state of California will be bringing Curran DeMille Price Jr. for his trial on 10 felony charges, including corruption, including medical benefits that allegedly were not given, and it will start on February 14th. So, on behalf of everybody here, on behalf of everybody in prison right now, realize that this asshole is getting paid $250,000 a year to be indicted. Let's give him a hand. I've never seen it before. Have you ever seen anybody get paid to get indicted? This is great. And finally, I will end in my foreign language.
Your time has expired. Next speaker. Mr. Spindler, you are now disrupting this meeting because we need to move on. This is your only warning. Do not disrupt this meeting.